The Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. That is right. It is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show, the first episode of the 2024-2025 NBA season. It doesn't feel too long ago that my Boston Celtics won the NBA championship, because it wasn't that long ago. They come around quick. We've had preseason. We had the Olympics, obviously, keep the NBA on the forefront of our minds here. We had a wild off season as well, but we've made it. We are here. We are currently recording ahead of the Tuesday opening night slate. So we'll have all of our usual content for everybody with the playbook, showdown playbooks. We'll have our best bets. We'll obviously be live for you guys each and every night where we have main slates as well to get you all ready for roster lock. As we know in the NBA, no roster lock is as wild as the NBA. So we'll be with you guys. We'll get in that Discord with you as well, bringing you all the updates to help you guys set your lineups. But of course, we appreciate all of the support that you guys gave us last year with our NBA DFS content. And we look forward to bringing you bigger and better things this season. So hit that like, hit that subscribe button so you get notified whenever we post a new video or go live here at Fantasy Alarm. James, you and I, we cover a lot of sports here at Fantasy Alarm, but we started the NBA DFS product, essentially. We started doing the NBA DFS podcast, transitioned into live streams and live videos. Safe to say the NBA is our baby. We love the NBA more than most other things that we do here at Fantasy Alarm.
Yeah, more than most things in general. Like on a short list, my wife, my kids, and basketball probably like 1, 2, and 3. And I'm not going to tell you the order of which I'd rank them. I'm just kidding. Basketball is definitely one. Well, I mean 3. I 3 of course.
Reverse order.
But yeah, I mean, incredibly happy to be back. It is like always a shorter off season for those very good teams that win championships, and then you're like, oh shoot, I'm a champion, but I'm back already, right? Like it's like, oh, that was so that's probably a great feeling for you. You guys have obviously Titletown USA the last couple decades. Boston looking to be the first team to repeat in the past. I think there's been 7 new champions over the last 7 seasons, or 6. It's 6 or 7. We've had 6 different champions. So first time to repeat in quite a while. I'd say probably since the Warriors. Probably the last team that has.
I mean, I would assume so, right? Like the back in that Warriors Cavs dynasty run that those guys were having, those multiple series of finals matchups against one another. So Celtics are on this main slate. They open up NBA opening night at home against the New York Knicks, a revamped New York Knicks team here. Again, there was a wild off season. You'll know as we cover these teams, we cover these games for the first week. You'll be, if you haven't been keeping up, you'll be like, wait a minute, who's on the Knicks? Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges.
I mean, that just happened. Oh, the Towns thing just happened. Right before preseason, Karl-Anthony Towns was like, you just traded me. Like preseason was just about to start. You guys are trading me now?
So the owner showed up at his house. He was at home with his dad and like 3 friends and told them that they were trading him. So yes, you'll see pretty much a lot of teams have a lot of new players except the Celtics. The Celtics were like, you know what? We had a long regular season. We don't need the off season. We're just going to sign everybody back. They even had signed Lonnie Walker and then let him go. So Lonnie Walker was one of the final camp casualties during the preseason. And they're just completely running it back. Everybody got massive contract extensions. Everybody got paid. And then they put the Celtics up for sale. So, they're just, everybody's cashing in. So if you are new to the NBA DFS show, on most slates, we go by position. On these smaller slates, we go game by game to help you guys kind of figure out where we want to go. We will have showdown playbooks for both of these individual games as well. So if you're in on the showdown slates, I know showdown NBA is as popular as the NFL showdown slates are. So we will have showdown content for you guys. But for now, we're going to be breaking down the main slate. It's 2 games here, and we're going to go game by game Any other thoughts before we jump into this here, James?
No, I mean, you mentioned it. Like all the content is going to be great. Year in from now, your guys are in for a treat. So make sure you head over to fantasyalarm.com and get your subscription with your 7-day free trial. Fantasyalarm.com/win. It's fun. I mean, again, I'm jacked. John. We are so back. We are so
back.
Derek Jeter tweeted about the Yankees because also the Yankees are so back. And I know this is not a baseball show, but Derek Jeter tweeting that has me jacked, and so does the NBA.
You know whose Twitter notifications I never turned off was Donovan Mitchell. So I've been getting a lot of Donovan Mitchell tweets all this offseason about him being a big baseball fan. So
he's a big Mets guy, right?
Yeah,
he's from
and
New York.
obviously was for Cleveland. when
Sure.
For the land there, being a Cavs guy. So, anyways, yeah, promo code Let's Go fantasyalarm.com/win. Scan the QR code. We have a 7-day free trial going on right now, so you can try our NBA DFS content out and all of our content on site for 7 days for free. If you use that promo code Let's Go, your first month after that promo code ends is for 7-day free trial ends is less than $20. So you get your first month for less than $20. You get access to not only of our NBA content, but our NFL, our NHL. I won an NHL DFS GPP last week. So again, we have killers in all sports here. But try us out for the NBA and the rest of our content for 7 days for free. And then hang around with us for the first month and hopefully forever as part of the family. But that first month is discounted $19.98. All right, we going team by team or game by game? How do we want to do this?
Let's do team by team, but like / game by game, because
right. I got the Knicks and the Celtics clicked here, so we'll use the full player pool for both teams. Do you want to go individual?
Let's go individual teams. Let's just go individual.
All right. Knicks made a nice run last year, into playoffs. Unfortunately, injuries caught up to them in that series here. As we mentioned, revamped New York Knicks team here. Offseason main acquisitions, obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns just recently. But they began basically the offseason with the trade for Mikal Bridges as well. So now you look at this team here. Jalen Brunson is still their top price guy on this team. $8,700 proved that he was more than worth the bag that he got at point guard here. Karl-Anthony Towns, no Mitchell Robinson, going to be out for the season. And then Precious Achiuwa just got injured as well. He would have expected to be their backup big. He's going to miss a couple of weeks here. So we know Tibbs runs his starters heavy minutes. Towns is experienced in that from his time with them in Minnesota. So he knows what to be going in on here. He's $7,800. Mikal Bridges, $68. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, kind of your starting 5 group there. What do you want to start to talk about first?
So, I think, on short slates, we talk about this and something, you've talked about a lot for a long time because we've done the show for a long time. And on 2-game slates, we just need raw fantasy points, right?
Yep.
And how you accrue raw fantasy points is by minutes. And how you accrue by minutes is you play for Tom Thibodeau. That's how you accrue minutes. And obviously this is not an advantageous spot for the Knicks. Boston is going to be once again a stalwart defensively. I do think they'll be slightly worse until Porzingis returns. I know Luke Cornett is slated to be, we'll talk about Boston's front court. I don't think there's even a definitive answer on who's going to start there.
No, there's been a strong push to have Cornett.
Right.
Start. So
and I wouldn't fault them for that because Horford's going to be the backup when Porzingis returns anyway.
Al Horford is still 45 years old.
And he is old. And he's old. So I think despite it being a tough spot, the Knicks are very affordable, and they're going to play all the minutes. In their final preseason game, which is usually the game teams are play the first half, we're done. OG Anunoby, 28 minutes. Josh Hart, 25 minutes. Karl-Anthony Towns, 30. Mikal Bridges, 32. Jalen Brunson, 28. They were just playing their guys all the minutes in the preseason because, let's face it. Thibodeau knows, we're just going to have to play all these guys again. Boatload of minutes. So I love Brunson. I love Towns. despite like tough spots. I think Towns is probably per dollar my favorite play, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming he's going to be the most popular of the Knicks. Mikal Bridges is fine. I have a little to no interest in Hart. I don't know if you heard some of the comments he's made in the offseason where he basically was like, I'm not going to shoot a lot this year. I'm just going to be like the gritty
Yeah.
garbage guy, which I think
I was
Josh
gonna
Hart's.
say he's not like a huge shooter in general. We usually like him because he's the gritty garbage guy, you know?
I think that gritty garbage guy with shooting upside was like where he kind of started to go at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now like Randall DiVincenzo was fine. They're neither of those players are like Towns Bridges offensively, at least like
No,
from a
I agree.
volume standpoint. So I could just see like amongst the starters, he's going to be fifth on the totem pole in like shot attempts. So I would probably still rank OG a little ahead of Hart. I don't fault you for going Hart over OG if
I
like
think the
you're
rebounds are still going to be there.
the rebounds. I
Right?
think so. Like that's where you have to like make your decision. Hart is probably gonna be their second leading rebounder behind Towns. Can OG do enough of everything to warrant playing over Hart? I mean, I think like Brunson Towns are tier one plays, and the other three are kind of like secondary plays,
Yeah.
regardless. But I
I
think
think
Hart
specifically in this game, Bridges and OG are going to be, they're going to have their hands full,
because
right?
they're guarding
Tatum and
Tatum
Brown.
and Brown.
And that's just going to, I think that's going to either get some of them in foul trouble or it's going to probably wear them out, right? Having to deal with, I mean, honestly, both sides of the court. Having to deal with Tatum Brown on the offensive side isn't going to be a peach for them either. But both Bridges and OG are perimeter players. I don't know if you saw the video going around of Mikal Bridges and his like new shooting form.
Yes, it looked a little weird.
A little weird, and he had it was a nice compilation of him just like bricking shots. I was like, what happened? Like, where did this new shooting form come for Mikal? And people had some concerns there. I mean, listen, Celtics homerism aside, this doesn't feel like a game where the Knicks are gonna be overly competitive in. I think that it's banner night. The Celtics are rolling in on a high. They ran almost everybody off the floor during the preseason. Matchup wise, I think Towns is probably the best matchup for them. I still think Brunson probably gets his just from a pure attack standpoint because there is still no real rim protection for the Celtics. Cornette's long, but like he's not a shot blocker, and Horford will maybe play 25 minutes. I'm not really in on the wing players here for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brunson Towns again. Like I have no like real qualms. I'm not gonna just like cross people off my board completely because it is just a 2-game slate, and I don't have the same sentiment as you about like wiping the Knicks off the floor. I think the Knicks are obviously going to be a top tier Eastern Conference team,
Sure.
and Banner Night could technically go either way. Like there's going to be a ton of emotion for Boston and a ton of adrenaline that could be dumped very early, and then like.
Sure.
There's a lull after their initial adrenaline dump. So I think Towns is your best per dollar, Nick.
Yep.
Brunson is very safe if you want to get there because he's just an elite offensive player. And then everything else in the offensive or in the starting lineup is secondary, and you can get to them, but none of them are priorities.
Yep. And we should have mentioned this at the beginning. Celtics in this one, 5.5 point home favorite. So again, certainly not indicative of like running a team off the floor. 221.5. Game total there. We get to the depth now of this team, though. And we see this sometimes, right? Teams sell out to load up their starting five. Now, it works for Tibbs because he plays his starters deep minutes. And, campaign may only need to play 15 minutes because Brunson's playing 38 and stuff like that. But night one, this isn't Steve Kerr. Right, Steve Kerr who plays his starters night 1, 23 minutes, and everybody gets on the floor. We've seen that happen more often than we like to discuss here. But like, how confident are you in any of these backups? We would have liked Miles McBride. What's his? He was really good last year for them off the bench. They kept him around. He's going to be in for being like basically their 6-man, first guard, right? Like, what's your thoughts on the Knicks bench here?
They're probably going to run an 8-man rotation right out of the gate. And I think like seeing the minutes that they played in the preseason is just a clear indication of that, right? Like not a lot of teams did that every night. The Knicks played their starters every night in the preseason to get their conditioning. To get the conditioning ready. So I think you see Payne, McBride, and Sims as your 3 primary options off the bench. Tyler Kolek was an impressive rookie. I don't think they're going to play him. They could make him the 9th man. But I'm okay with him as secondary values. Like campaign, I would assume McBride is your quote unquote 6-man, but is it 22 minutes? Is it 24 minutes? Is it 18 minutes? Are all 3 of these guys just playing like high teens minutes and nobody's
to me, he feels like that DDV role-ish where they were, whenever DDV wasn't starting for them, he'd come off the bench and play, the mid-20s. And I mean, they need him to score off their bench, right? Like, because they don't, just looking at their bench, they don't have it. They need McBride to be the guy that they had down the stretch for them. And when they were forced to have him play minutes. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I think you're correct with that. I also think the Knicks are gonna probably stagger minutes where you never have campaign Miles McBride and Jericho Sims on the floor together. We're fixing those, 3 starters are on the floor at all times there.
Great. Anybody else for no, I didn't think so. Boston side. Your top price guy, Jay Tatum, $9,000. Jaylen Brown is 82. Derek White, 63. Drew Holiday, 58. We know those are the 4 starters. And then we don't know what they're going to do at center. They got Al Horford, who I assume will just play in the mid-20s regardless of starting or not starting. They have Xavier Tillman. They have Luke Cornett. Like, they have bigs that they could even rotate around as that, center play. So certainly some questions to be had there. Towns is going to have the advantage on Cornett and Tillman if those are the 2 that are playing the 5 at the time. Horford looked good, certainly at times in the playoffs, had that one big game. Was it against Cleveland? He hit the 5 threes or something, 6 threes or something like that. So, he's certainly still capable of giving it to you once in a while. The biggest problem we had last year playing the Celtics was on any given night, it could be any one of the 4. Or I guess any one of the 3. Drew Holiday had less boom nights than the rest of the group. How are you handling Boston here?
I love what we saw from Tatum in the preseason. I think it's primarily from 3. He looked like a different player from 3. And you can, poo-poo preseason all you want, but when you see marginal improvement or you see clear improvement on someone's shot and the way that it's going in, I think Jason Tatum's out for blood this year. I mean, he was kind of embarrassed. As great as a Team USA thing was for Boston because they had 3 members, it wasn't because Jason Tatum's one of, a handful of, first team NBA 3 years in a row, and he didn't play in 2 games on Team USA. And that's probably embarrassing for him because it's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm literally an NBA champion and one of the best players in the world, and you're not playing me. And then you have Brown, who didn't even get invited.
Got snubbed,
and there's beef between him and the president of Team USA. So, I am very much in on Tatum just going LeBron second year in Miami mode, where he's the villain of the NBA this year. You've already seen comments from Tatum I don't know what people were doing picking Dallas. And I thought people were trolling when they.
Did you watch the Netflix doc?
I didn't. I just saw that clip. And okay. I want to watch it, but I did.
It's good.
I did
obviously
see the clip.
I'm a Celtics fan, so I watched it. But in general, not even just the Celtics parts, it's worth watching. If you're a basketball fan, check it out. 100% worth it. They're also obviously doing another season of it.
Right.
And I think this is Tatum's MVP push here.
Yep.
He's been in conversations. It's going to be very difficult for him to win the MVP unless he blows the scoring title out of the water or something like that, or has a big double-double type season. because Joker's always going to go put up ridiculous numbers. Wemby this year is going to put up some ridiculous numbers. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for Tatum to actually win the MVP unless the Celtics just run through the league and he is averaging 30 and 10 or 29, something like that. But I do think the fact that they're coming off a championship, Netflix stock is still going on. They have the whole drama around Team USA, which is part of the Netflix stock as well, that like this story ends with like maybe Tatum winning an MVP, having a type season. So I'm kind of with you there. His shot improvement this year, he worked on the release, quicker release.
Yes.
And it just allowed his rhythm to be better with it, and be able to get the shot off better. So there's that. But we've also talked, you and I, about the Jaylen Brown revenge tour. Yeah. Jaylen Brown himself was, giving magazine quotes and stories were being put out about how he was pissed, not only about the Team USA thing, but again, there's, Jason Tatum won the Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown was the Finals MVP though, right? Tatum had the final, the big game at the end of the series, but throughout the playoffs, time and time again, it was Jaylen Brown that was the one that was the best player. And that he feels there's probably some disrespect around Brown didn't even make the All-Star team last year, right? Wasn't there that whole?
No, he wasn't third, and he wasn't third team. I don't think he was third team NBA, and he wanted to be Defensive Player of the Year, and he wasn't even
right. So there's a
one single vote.
Whole lot of things around JB. So top two Celtics guys again. Now on the flip side, like they're dealing with Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. They're obviously really good defensive players, but perfectly fine. Derek White, Drew Holiday. Again, you can kind of pick which one you think goes off here. White certainly last year proved to be the far better consistent fantasy producer. How are you handling the guards?
And I think that's going to be the case early on because even Drew was not playing as much in the preseason. So I think there's going to be, I don't think there's going to be an endurance issue, but I think there's going to just be kind of a massaging of minutes for Holiday. He's 34, right? He's the second oldest starter now on this team. So I lean White all the way. Multi-position eligibility plays a factor into that as well. I think there's just more ways that White can get us there than Holiday at this point. To just circling back to your initial question on the center, I do think Cornette starts. That would be my guess. I'm not like I don't have like some source that's telling me that. It just feels like based on the preseason and based on all like Missoula's comments that he's going to be the starter and Horford's going to come off the bench. And I think if Luke Cornette was the fifth starter, maybe the most popular play of the day because he's 3,900 starting and he's a very good fantasy point per minute player. When Luke Cornette's on the floor, I mean, he gets rebounds in a very quick period of time. Good shot blocker, doesn't shoot threes anymore, but is just a good fantasy asset. So I think Cornette would be a really, really good play at 39.
Who was shooting threes during the preseason was Xavier Tillman.
He was. He's a good player that I feel like just got traded to the wrong team. Like not for him. He won a championship. I'm sure he's fine. But like in terms of, in terms of playing time, like Xavier Tillman can play on like every team.
He'll get a handful of starts this year when guys sit and things like that.
But he went to ball. Like he just got traded to the team you don't want to be traded to because you're not going to play. It's like Lonnie Walker signing there. Like why did Lonnie Walker even think that he was going to?
I think one of the more surprising parts of the Netflix doc was at the end. The first person to hug Jason Tatum after they won the championship was O'Shea Brissett, and I was like, O'Shea Brissett, the guy ran off the bench to get in the camera shot, right? Like, he knew where the cameras are going. He's gonna get his 5 minutes in there. So, all right, well, so that's the center spot. I would agree with you. Cornette definitely probably gets some love here, probably regardless because of the price point on a 2-game slate. I'm not really like running to play Boston centers on this 2-game. I think there are others. I mean, we'll talk about the other game, but it's Minnesota and LA. Like there's going to be better center options, for that. So I'd rather play Towns in this matchup. If Cornette starts, I see a reason to play him just purely for a price point play. If you're trying to jam in some of the other more expensive plays on the slate, if not, Minnesota, LA has the better center pairings, I think, to go for. Boston paid Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser a lot of money this offseason to be just their 6th and 7th man, 7th and 8th man off the bench. There's going to be rotation minutes for them. They probably max out at 20. Maybe Pritchard plays a little bit more if you think Drew or Derek White or somebody gets some rest here. Do you have any interest in either Boston bench guy?
Yeah, of course. Pritchard is just a guy who will come on the floor and shoot a lot and is a good rebounder, sneaky good rebounder, good passer. No problems getting to Pritchard. I don't love 4,700, but I understand it because, he is 1, always on the floor if there's a blowout. 2, he is a bucket getter when he is on the floor. So, and he is just firmly their guy off the bench. Like he is their main guard. Hauser, he has to make shots for us to get there at 44. I mean, we're looking, if this is your first time playing NBA DFS, as a baseline, you want a 5x return, right? Like as a baseline, that's what you're looking for. And not necessarily on a 2-game slate, you just want raw points. But like as a baseline, you do want a 5x return. So like we need Sam Hauser to get us like 22 fantasy points. And how many minutes? I mean, this was a last year 0.79 fantasy point per minute player. So like he would need to really have one of those like out of body shooting experiences, which he can.
So he had a couple of them during the preseason. He played 13 minutes versus Philly. He had 15 points. He had 5 of 6 from 3 and 13 minutes. And against Denver, he had 15 actual and 16 minutes. Hit 6 of 7 shots. So, I mean, he almost set the NBA record. He was going to set the NBA record against the Wizards last year. And then he rolled his ankle after hitting, 8 threes in the first half or something like that.
Yep.
So, I agree with you. Like, again, super darty tournament play. Maybe you're making 20 lineups or you're playing showdown. You'll throw Sam Hauser in your showdown lineup or something like that on the slate, but nothing you're going to really commit to. And that's it. That's your Celtics team. Not really much else you're going to play there. Minnesota, LA. We'll start off with Minnesota here. Anthony Edwards has a really good couple of episodes in the in that Netflix doc. I felt I'm unsure of my impression of him, a little bit. Like he's still super cocky in how he was handling himself, and you love a guy that has that kind of confidence in his own ability and whatnot. But I don't know. To me, it still felt like I wasn't sure if he was too full of himself almost is the way he came off. I'm like, you get run out of the gym and you're in the NBA Western Conference there. Have a little more humility, to it. He's like, I still think like we're like the best team. I'm like, I don't know. You lost in 5, so maybe not, but he's here. He's $8,800. He too is out to prove himself. Towns no longer on the team. Added Randall and added DiVincenzo to this lineup. Got Gobert. Still have Mike Conley and Jalen Daniels. But this is the Anthony Edwards show. Trading Towns basically was the changing of the guard of that. Edwards is already the face, but Towns was the old face of the team. Well, it's now Anthony Edwards' team here.
Yeah. I mean, they're currently 1.5 point road favorites, 223 total. So this is the slightly better game environment. Last year without Towns, Edwards 1.3 fantasy points per minute. We saw obviously his stardom rise in the postseason. He was special, regardless of, he was super special in the postseason. I know they got trounced by Dallas, but that was a special run by Dallas overall. Love Edwards at 88. I think this is a great spot. We know the Lakers are a fast-paced team. JJ Redick is going to turn that team into one of the highest three-point volume shooting teams in the league. And that's always, a fast-paced team that shoots a lot of threes is good for the opposition. A lot of long rebounds, a lot of fast break opportunities for them. Getting Anthony Edwards out on the break is as good as you can get in the NBA. So I love Edwards 88. I was looking through Julius Randle played 26 minutes in his lone preseason game. Yeah. So he should be pretty full. I mean, obviously coming off like a massive injury and was traded and hasn't been in the system for too long, but They've already announced that he's going to start alongside Rudy Gobert, which is, if Naz Reid wants to go back to back with the sixth man, he has every opportunity to do so.
Sure does.
But I think Randall should be as close to full as possible. 30 minutes seems like a reasonable take. I'm good with Randall at 8K in 30 minutes. They don't have and this is the thing when you look at Edwards and Randall, and it's the same thing with Towns and Edwards, right? They don't have a lot of offense in their starting lineup. And Naz Reid and DiVincenzo are going to provide really good sparks off the bench. And Rob Dillingham eventually will as well offensively. Yeah. But if you're spending 30 minutes on the floor and Edwards and Randall are going to be super ball dominant, much like we saw Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. So I love both their top two stars here.
I don't really like the Randall fit for this team, truthfully.
I like it. I like
Towns is a better 3-point shooter than Randall is.
He is. Towns was underrated with the ball. I think Randall's great with the ball.
Sure, Randall's a good passer. I won't argue.
He's a great playmaker in general. Very good. For a big, good dribbler, good playmaker. So I like Randall playing alongside Edwards. Obviously, I look
at that starting five and I worry about their. Edwards is going to be scoring 60% of the points.
Randall's going to be a 20-point scorer in this game.
I agree, just out of necessity though. But when I look at Randall, I don't consider him to be a strong 1B to Anthony Edwards' skill set here. I don't think this. I get why they moved on from Towns. I don't know if I almost feel like DDV fits that lineup better as a guy that can at least knock down a three, for them. Conley can hit a three, but he's getting up there in age. McDaniels has no offense. Gobert really doesn't have he scores in the paint if he gets an offensive, putback or, limited post move play. Your Randall's a bad outside shooter who's going to shoot from the outside. And if they're going to play him down low, then they got to clear out with Gobert to open the space for him. So I just, I don't know. I don't love the fit for Randall. Again, I think he'll probably just put up fantasy points because he's there and they need him to do so. But to me, DDV or even Naz Reid, what felt like better, complementary players to Edwards. And I'm still not convinced that that's the right move. But on this matchup in particular, after Anthony Edwards, and you have the Randall. You have Gobert. He's going to be up against Anthony Davis. Obviously, Randall, Hachimura, probably the play for him there. Conley McDaniels is going to draw the LeBron defense. Do you are you playing any of the other starting five after Edwards and Randall?
You can play Gobert, but indifferent. I'd say just he's going to play minutes. He fits the scheme. He plays a lot of minutes. Played a lot of minutes against the Lakers last year. I don't see that changing here.
Yep.
McDaniels, we've said this for year in, year out. Jaden McDaniels, great defender. Jaden McDaniels sometimes can't figure out the foul trouble, right? He is, and now is going to be the primary defender on LeBron. It's not a fun thing for Jaden McDaniels. So at 5,300, Conley 55. I doubt we see any type of he played 29 minutes a game last year. That's not going to go up as he gets older. So all secondary plays, I would honestly have more interest in DiVincenzo and Naz Reid off the bench. I think both those guys are going to play mid-20s minutes. DiVincenzo has a path to 30 minutes when McDaniels gets in these games where he's in foul trouble. Those are games that DiVincenzo is going to play 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
He's going to play mid-20s and has upside to play 30, just considering he'll be their wing, because
do they have another defensive player to put in that game?
NEW is.
Well, if LeBron puts McDaniels in foul trouble,
you're putting Edwards.
You probably just throw Edwards on LeBron?
Probably. Yeah, you probably put Edwards on LeBron. It also depends on what the Lakers are doing because, you could, in theory, put Julius Randle on LeBron, and you have whoever else. If it's DiVincenzo, or if it's Edwards, you can play them on Rui Hachimura as well. I don't think you'd be like too worried about that. Given this isn't like when Rui Hachimura is playing for Team Japan. He's like still their 5th offensive option. So I'm inclined to say DiVincenzo is a really good play here because Edwards can play the 2, can play the 3. He'll shift down. We have, Naz Reid is obviously going to operate in both front court spots like he did last year. So it's Edwards, Randall, the rest of the starting 5 secondary plays for me. But I do have a lot of interest in DiVincenzo and Reid. Dude, DiVincenzo is a very nice fit, as you mentioned, for this team. And he's just a very, very good shooter, as is Naz Reid, who shot 41% from 3 last year. Just like, hey, I'm going to steal the 6th man from everyone. And then they'll round out their rotation, Dillingham and NAW. And I've seen the Luka Garza had like a monster preseason. They asked about him. I think they asked Tim Connolly, and Tim Connolly was like, yeah, I mean, he's the only backup center on the team, so I'm sure he'll play. It's like, well, I guess you're forgetting that other guy who can play backup 5. So, but after DiVincenzo and Reid, like, you can take a dart on NAW, but everything else is.
Sure. Then we go to Lakers. Anthony Davis, $9,400. LeBron James, $89. Get an under 9K LeBron here. Russell, $62. Reeves, $6K. Hachimura, $5K. Your expected starting 5 here for the Lakers. Always inclined to play LeBron James, and he's under 9K. So feels like a good spot there.
Yeah. I mean, also saw like the clip about LeBron in the starting 5 doc with like him on the minutes restriction stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure when hired or pre-hiring, when he said he wasn't talking to JJ Redick about becoming a head coach, he vetted JJ Redick saying, "Are you thinking about putting me on a minutes restriction?" And JJ said, "No, dude, you run the team." And LeBron was like, "All right, great, let's hire this guy." So yeah, I'm definitely good with playing LeBron. I think he does have a pretty tough matchup, in theory, but it's LeBron, so you can always play him. I am incredibly intrigued by Anthony Davis this year because the 3-point volume he was taking in the preseason. He took in that final preseason game he played, he took 9 threes, right? 4 for 9. Anthony Davis has never been a good 3-point shooter. Last year he was terrible, but he was good in years prior. And like, again, if this is just what the offense is going to be, Anthony Davis might get back to scoring like 30 a night. If we're talking about a couple of those 2s that he's taking are now 3s, and Anthony Davis is now a 30-point scorer like he wasn't in New Orleans. I think Rudy Gobert matchup aside, I think Anthony Davis is one of, if not the best play on the slate overall. And I'm going to say that a lot about him this year, just given
for as long as he's healthy.
And credit to him, including the playoffs, 83 games last year for Anthony Davis. Not something we've been able to say for quite some time. So love the top 2.
What happens when you start putting qualifications on awards, right? What happens when you
True.
Everybody starts playing,
Yeah. It is. And some guys getting worn down, but that's another topic. Topic for another discussion.
Russell's there, Reeves and Hachimura. Again, I'm fine really playing any of them if you want to go there. Reeves is certainly appealing. We saw what Russell was doing last year when it was it LeBron off the floor? Was the Russell play, or was it AD?
Yeah, it was LeBron for Reeves. I'm gonna look because I can just figure this out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
but
he was really good when one of those 2 were off the floor, and he was just okay sort of the rest of the way.
I think it was because he had like the 45-point game in Utah with just Davis, so I think it was when LeBron was off the floor.
Which would make sense because he handles the ball more when LeBron's not on the floor. So
that is going to be interesting this year because they're going to have Reeves on the ball more this year than I think D'Lo. I think that's the plan at least, where Austin Reeves is going to do a lot more ball handling. So we'll see how that backcourt dynamic shakes out. But I do expect to be playing more Austin Reeves on a night-to-night basis, because if that's going to be the case and the ball's going to be in Reeves' hand more than Russell's, well, obviously, like, there's just more potential for fantasy points. So, of the two, I would lean Reeves. Also cheaper, also has MPE versus Russell's just point guard eligibility. But yeah, so Davis, LeBron, tier 1, Reeves over Russell for me.
Hachimura had some monster games at times last year, even when everybody was on the floor. Like, you and I would just like bang our head against the wall. Scott, of course, Hachimura has 4 threes in the first half. Like, of course. Vanderbilt, do we know if he's going to be available?
He's out.
So he is officially out for this game.
Yeah, they had said he was going to
try to be back.
And then JJ Redick gave a quote the other day, like, there's no setback, but he's being
updated in 2 weeks here. Okay.
Yeah, but he's being like, we're not going to see him for 2 weeks. So, like, there was obviously they were just a little too bullish on when he'd be back.
Sure. So who's our backup for then?
So I think what they're going to do is LeBron is probably your backup for, because they're still running that same rotation in the preseason where LeBron's your early sub.
Sure.
Then he comes back in the game. I think we're going to see a lot of Max Christie off the bench. I think we're going to see Gabe Vincent. Jackson Hayes is your backup 5. And then I think Dalton Connect is their backup other wing player. He is awesome scoring the basketball. So I think that's probably their rotation. And Redick talked about having a 9-man rotation specifically this year. And maybe playing 10. Like, we're going to see Bronny play. Shams already said it, right? Shams is like, Bronny's going to play, whether it's a minute or 2 in the first game with LeBron. He's going to play.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm playing Bronny. I'm not even contemplating playing Bronny. There's going to be 9 players that are like playing legitimate minutes, and then there's probably going to be like filler minutes, Reddish and Bronny.
End of the quarter sub, they're at the free throw line. Bronny checks in, stands next to his dad.
Yeah, make history, right?
Yeah, exactly. Stands next to his dad, and then they get the rebound, and hey, the half ends.
Yeah.
Bronny James, 1 minute,
1 minute, not even, let's say like 17 seconds.
He probably inbounds the ball to his dad, and they call it.
Yeah. And he can go commit the foul because we don't have to worry about foul trouble. So I do think it's going to be
LeBron's going to assist on his first bucket, isn't he?
That'd be so hilarious.
The whole thing is being set up.
Yes.
He's probably
correct. I do think like Christie, Connect, Vincent, Jackson Hayes is probably their bench. I think Connect has the highest ceiling off the bench because he can just flat out score, and he can shoot. And he can shoot from really far. So I think Connect is probably their best bench upside play. Max Christie's probably going to play the most minutes, but I don't love anything off that.
Sure.
They play a lot of minutes, by the way. They're another team that's going to play.
I mean, if they're going to shoot threes the way you think they're going to, it should be pretty interesting to see what some of those early lines look like on the 3-point props, right? If they're adjusting or not to what we think the game flow and strategy of that team is going to be.
I mean, they're bringing in a head coach that did nothing but shoot threes and has talked about, like, we were dead last in 3-point attempts last year. Will not be anywhere close to that this year. Like, I think they're better off that way. I mean, LeBron shot 40% from 3 last year. Like,
all right, let's here we go. So Anthony Davis, oh man. Anthony Davis over under. What do you think Anthony Davis over under 3-pointers made is?
Half.
Minus 115.
Yeah, I think like, now again, like, it wasn't every game that he shot a lot of threes, but in 3 of the last 4 he took 3 or more threes. That did not happen for Anthony Davis at all last year. Like, that was a very seldom thing. So
you only need him to hit one.
You only need him to hit one.
D'Angelo Russell's only 2.5 3-pointers made.
Yeah.
I mean, he took a lot of threes last year.
He takes a lot. He takes a lot of threes.
He only needs to hit 2 he only got to hit 3 in that one. So Let's see what else
Takes
we
a lot.
got. We got Austin Reeves at 1.5. Gabe Vincent to half. LeBron's 1.5.
I like the LeBron one because he's going to.
Hachimura is 1.5, and Hachimura's plus 115 at 1.5.
What's LeBron at 1.5?
Minus 130.
I mean, if LeBron shoots any way like he did last year, the guy just never slows down. It's just insane.
Let's see.
Insane.
What did D'Angelo Russell average threes per game last year? D'Angelo Russell averaged 3 threes a game last year. Took 7.2 3-point attempts per game. Shot 41%. We need him to basically hit that number tomorrow at minus 115. I kind of like that number. If Reddick's out there saying shoot threes, he's only got to hit 3 of them. So
he is definitely out there saying hit threes. That is what he's.
Let's see. Any other notable numbers on the other games here? Let's see. Not really. Naz Reid's 1.5 at minus 115.
What do we have for this? Will be a little telling. What do we have? Boston rebound props for like Cornette, Horford.
Celtics, Horford's at 6.5 at plus 114. No Cornette rebound props. Tatum's 8.5 at minus 130. Hauser 2.5 at minus 125.
They're saying
Towns is at 11.5, by the way. So
yeah, he's gonna get a lot of rebounds.
He's gonna get a lot of rebounds.
I mean, again, this is kind of why I like the Knicks in DFS, despite the spot, because they're just going to play these guys so many minutes right out of the gate. Like Thibodeau was, dude. If you need indication on what is going to happen when you're playing these guys 30 plus minutes in every preseason game, like that's a conditioning thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Thib saying like, I need you to be conditioned because you're going to play as many minutes as you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, are we gonna do our lineup build?
Our lineup. Is Towns our center plug here? You've talked to Anthony Davis, obviously, but
I like them both.
$7,800. He's got 11.5 rebound.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely good with Towns, and it's obviously going to be
FanDuel scoring here. See if anything has changed on the FanDuel side. No, we're looking at DraftKings. I don't think anything's changed with DraftKings scoring.
It is worth mentioning, and you and I think we were talking about this. I sent this to you. The FanDuel contest.
Yes.
Their primary contest, the $9 opening night shot. It's an $800K tournament. John, it's $100K more to up top or just in general in the tournament, and 50% of the field is paid.
Yeah, it says guaranteed overlay in massive letters. So
guaranteed overlay, and it says top 50% paid, which is really good odds. I mean, there's 18,000 of 80,000 at current recording.
You're playing a 50-50 with GPP payouts.
Yes.
Because FanDuel wants your money this year, ladies and gentlemen. They want you to build your bankroll over there and play over there this year. I'm not impartial. So I say this all the time. I have hated the multi-positional eligibility aspect. It's one of the reasons why I do play Yahoos at times during the NBA season as well, because they don't have, or at least I guess I'll have to check it. Maybe they've added it. What happened? What baseball just happened?
Nothing. FanDuel has LeBron James listed and Bronny James' picture in their flagship contest.
That was probably intentional.
They have Bronny James as LeBron James.
That would be hilarious if that was unintentional. I'm sure it's intentional. Yeah, they want your money, so they're giving you a chance to double your bankroll right off the bat there in a GPP style tournament. I don't like I don't like the dual positional eligibility aspect. FanDuel added it obviously a few years ago. DraftKings has always had it. I feel like it takes away some of the strategy. I liked when you had to make the hard decision of who you wanted to play in your lineup. Now, like everybody's a guard or a forward, so you can play any combination 6 different ways, and guys that are centers who have forward eligibility, even though they're not forwards, or the other way around. So it certainly made it harder, I think, at times, the NBA DFS, but they're going after they want you to play on FanDuel this year, and they're doing it by giving you some pretty cool contests to play. Their main contest is $9. If $9 is too much, their quarter is the same way. Their 25-cent entry tournament on FanDuel, top 50% get paid over there. $40K fadeaway. First place is $1,000, but they're paying the top 50% to go play over there. So, it's not a 50 double up. It's 40 cents on your 25 cents, but still, they want your money. They want you to, they want you to play over there. So they're giving you some opportunities to do so over on FanDuel. I was seeing if they had any double-double, triple-double bonuses, because they added bonuses for football.
Yeah,
they did not do it for basketball.
Same scoring.
Same scoring as usual for the FanDuel NBA product. All right, so playing towns. What's our next play on the board here? Do we go like Cornet for value, just knowing he's
that was like back to where I was thinking when we were talking about like centers. Like, there's not a lot of just value in general when you're looking through the value. There's not anyone that you look at other than if Luke Cornet started below like 5K that you'd be like, that guy, like Naz Reid, right? Naz Reid at 4,900 is going to be really popular because he's sub 5K.
Yeah.
And he's, just naturally going to get a lot of ownership because he's
got forward eligibility as well.
Yeah. Multi-position eligible. Has a high ceiling. We don't have definitive answers on Randall's minutes, although, 26 minutes in his final preseason game, I expect him to be like relatively close, but
but he might cap off at 30, right?
Right. But capped off in 30, that gives Naz a couple extra. There's always the potential for Gobert to be in foul trouble. That gives Naz extra. So, like that start where you go Edwards, Towns, Reed, Cornet, and you still have 6,100. You can literally probably plug Jason Tatum into that build at small forward and still like be good.
52. Probably puts us on DDV at 51.
Yes. And I like the Minnesota stack, or I like Minnesota in this game. Almost 2-point favorites on the road.
So we got a guard and a forward here. We're at 52.50. So kind of limits you a little bit, because if you go, your cheap guards are like Christie or Campaign, NAW.
Or Pritchard.
What?
Or Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard. Do you think there's higher minutes? I guess, yeah. I mean, Pritchard's probably fine.
Hachimura. I mean, if you played Hachimura at 5K and forward.
Well, I was going to say, if you played Hachimura, that's 55. It gets you Conley, another 4 minutes.
Which, if Minnesota is like the highest scoring team on the slate, you're fine with. But also, What is Conley's?
I guess that's the thing. And we're on a smaller slate, so we just sort of need more floor than we need ceiling at some place.
Yes.
Some positions. So Conley could work it out. You're 4 stacking Minnesota here. Your only Laker coming back in that game is Hachimura. So would you drop off Tatum and play LeBron?
I was gonna say LeBron. I was gonna say you could do Jalen if you wanted to do because you also only have one Celtic, and then you can go from Conley to Austin Reeves.
Okay, I like that better.
So it's Brown, Reeves at 6,000, and then or Tatum, Conley, and I think the Brown Reeves play is a higher.
I think the Brown Reeves play makes more sense. I agree with you.
Yeah. And this is obviously, I think Cornet's in play either way. But I do think Cornet. The sports books make me believe Horford's going to start, or at least they think he's going to play more. But when I was watching
6.5 rebounds,
dude, when I was watching, I feel like watching the preseason, it just felt like Cornet is going to be the starter.
They talked a lot. They talked a lot about having Cornet be that starter.
Right.
So I think there's my issue it's not even a real issue, is if Kornet gets into foul trouble, like they'll just go to Tillman. Like they're not
Right.
committed to giving Kornet minutes.
No.
They'll give him minutes to start, but it's not like he is a fixtured piece of that lineup, right? Like if Tillman just plays better than Tillman's going to get the run, it's not like they're going to go back to him, right? So
Sure.
just kind of playing around to see what else we can do here.
Okay.
Getting AD in that lineup, DiVincenzo, Edwards, Reed, Davis, Reeves, Hachimura, Kornet would give us a $6,900 small forward.
Nice.
He's just he's power forward, small forward.
No, you could play Rui at small forward, if you wanted.
Yeah. It doesn't change the positions though. I was seeing if there was like anybody else. If we did Brown there. So there's really no other value, right? That's the thing. 47 would just take us back to
Pritchard. We're taking shots. I feel like you're just taking shots, right? Like, because we don't know what the Lakers rotation is really truly going to be, and like who is going to. I think Dalton Connect is fine in like large field tournaments and stuff, but I'm not like going to sit here and tell you that I think Dalton Connect is like can't miss value on this slate.
I mean, that would be your plug there, right? Like get Towns and a Davis in the lineup with Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I mean that would probably be like the way that you kind of stars and scrub opening night. That feels a little stars and scrubby.
And you're fading Kornet, obviously.
So you're taking the exact same price for Kornet and playing a better position eligible player in Connect who may or may not play.
May or may not play.
Like, I'm assuming he's going to play. They used a first-round pick on him. He was great all preseason. He had 35 in their final preseason game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's obviously a very talented scorer. And I think, Redick's going to reward. They don't have – I mean, think about their bench, right? Jackson Hayes is their backup big. He isn't a good scorer. He's just good at around the rim. Max Christie is not a good scorer. Gabe Vincent is, we don't know. He barely played last year. I mean, and like that's their bench. So
would you rather Hachimura or there's Horford and there's OG Anunoby?
Probably OG.
Just minutes, right?
He's just going to play so many minutes. Yeah. I mean, he's just going to play so many.
So that kind of maxes out our salary.
And obviously like these are, I'm going to be annoying.
You want me to move the late guy? You want me to move the late guys over?
You never know. I mean, we've seen Anthony Davis, slip and fall and miss a game before, So just throwing it out there
for the appeasement of the fans here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're far too kind.
Reed and
I did just post the Bronny picture on my Twitter. I do think it's super funny that LeBron is being used as his son's picture. Good. I don't know if Bronny is being used as LeBron though. That would be nope. Bronny is also LeBron.
He's
Bronny.
Also
He is himself and LeBron.
So very clearly a mistake, you think here?
Yeah.
All right, I think this is the best I can do, getting your late guys in the util spots here. Another example lineup. I know we haven't really locked in one, but we have Pritchard, DiVincenzo, Connect, Anunoby, Towns, Edwards, Reeves, and Davis. We're still kind of sticking on the Minnesota Lakers stack here. This game, in terms of game total, is set at 222, so only a point more than the Celtics Knicks, but it's a 1.5 point spread versus the 5.5 point spread.
Yeah, I think that this is just a better game environment too. When you think about where these two teams ranked in pace last year, the Lakers were very fast, and that's a good thing for Minnesota. If that's going to be the case, and the Lakers are going to play really fast, then we're going to get a nice pace-up spot.
Yep, agreed. So there it is. First NBA DFS show in the books. Again, appreciate all of you tuning in with us here. James and I are going to be doing a preview show for pretty much all the main slates The 2-game slates moving forward or solo slates probably will not be live, but we'll have a quick preview show for everybody. But any live slate, 4 games or more, you'll see James and I here to get you guys ready. I think it's 5 o'clock, 5 to 6. James, is that when we're doing the live show?
5 to 6.
5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be live on Tuesday for the main slate for opening night. And then moving forward, you'll see us on the main slates of 4 games or more, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. But we'll have the preview show always for you guys. Of course, you can always get us on X. Our Twitter handles are there, our X handles, however you want to say it, at JImpemba777, at _real_grande. Get in our Discord as well. Join us here. Get your questions, your betting questions, your pick'em questions. We're going to have underdog, prize picks, and sleeper for all of you guys here who play over there. Go check out James and I. We did an underdog double dribble draft, trying to go out there and win the 100K this year, the 500K double dribble. So you can go watch our video on the Fantasy Farm YouTube channel. Check that out. Still plenty of time to sign up over there and get in on the NBA fun. We have a whole lot of content, and we're excited to bring it to you guys this year over at Fantasy Farm. So again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. Again, free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Farm. But until then, everybody, we'll see you Tuesday night. Good luck till then.